Predicting the future is an essential function of the nervous system. Human physiological measures anticipate what seem to be unpredictable future events by deviating from a baseline before an event occurs in the same direction that they will continue to deviate after the event occurs. I've been here for a year now, watching my decision demons on autopilot. Extreme inner states emerge and disappear. I'm my future's very own electromagnetic material. I eat, I sleep, I train. A movement a day, a different one every day, for 5 days. Then a 2-day recap. The next week, another 5, for 5 weeks. Then 2 weeks of recap. After 357 days, I have an arsenal of 255 possible movements. Introducing the bootstrap method. The appeal of the bootstrap is that we can use it to make an inference about some experimental result when the statistical theory is uncertain or even unknown. The bootstrap gives us an empirical approach to estimate the theoretical variability among possible values of a sample. We can use the bootstrap to make an inference about some experimental result when the theory is uncertain or even unknown. Precognition, pre-sentiment, sure. But what does it mean to pre-enact? There is a German word I cannot translate, Vorahmung. If there is Nachahmung, there has to be Vorahmung. To anticipate a movement that might be enacted in the future, to preserve it. Move like you might have to move, without enacting the movement. Train your body for a state to come in an environment you can't yet enter. A potential gesture, a contingent twitch, minimal. I've been here for a year now, watching my decision demons on autopilot. The simulation, data for the bootstrap. The simulation, data for the bootstrap. Data for the bootstrap. Two days before I locked the doors, the examiner told me how the research had started back in the day, about the famous Israeli dancer who had invented a notation system that would address every single limb, and how the first American spacesuits were developed on the basis of her system. The astronauts were the first to train possible future movements for an environment they could not simulate. But they were still training for a surrounding they could anticipate. These days, you have to be your own environment. Take yourself to the stars, or wherever. There is no outside. More recently, 2 articles in Frontiers in Psychology and Frontiers in Human Neuroscience reported a meta-analysis of experiments on predictive anticipatory activity, or presentiment. In the first NASA report on the possibility of mining rare earths and new elements on Mars from 1959, there is a chapter on greenhouses in which the bodies of the astronauts are themselves described as mines. Small graphics show how to attach your body to the onboard system to fertilize the plants and to produce electricity in a reaction that turns phosphates you excrete into pure P4. To mine the stars, you have to mine your body. To mine the future, you have to mine your brain. The primary motor cortex and the area for visual motor coordination and multimodal association are centered around what used to be known as Brodmann Area 7. It serves as a point of convergence between vision, movement, and proprioception to determine where objects are in relations to part of the body and to anticipate where they will be a second later. It serves as a point of convergence between vision, movement, and proprioception to determine where objects are in relation to parts of the body and to anticipate where they will be a second later. If treated over longer periods of time with regular doses of phosphate, This area of the brain develops arsenals of phosphocreatine, a phosphorylated creatine molecule that provides brain cells with high fluctuating energy demands with short intensive boosts. Déjà vécu, to claim to recollect past experiences that are actually novel. Disordered memory awareness, recollective confabulation in 2 cases of persistent déjà vécu. Neuropsychologia Nautica. I watch my brainwaves enter future states on the screen and take posture. It's a bit like method acting, only you don't look for an experience from your past, but one you haven't yet made. If you subtract pattern recognition and the decoding system from your perception apparatus, what remains is the bliss of the real. Noisy, a rush, everything at once. Plug in and drop out of the world. To prepare for the experiment, we would inject ourselves with a subnarcotic dose of an anesthetic, originally developed to be used on animals. Once we did, we understood what an aesthetic is: to exist in a space without images or structures. In anesthetics, all you do is play. The dream of a world outside the world, a place that is truly empty, retreat, become the world. Understanding about oracles has always been that they might provide an answer. But a movement is not about arriving in a position, but what happens in between positions. There used to be a common crab oracle. You sit on a stony beach, formations of black rock run into the sea, warped like a manic parking space, consisting mainly of holes. You drop a gleaming white stone into one of the curvy tunnels. Within an instant, thousands of crabs shoot out of the stone, in curves and circles over one another into the water. 3 days later, you do it again. Constructive episodic simulation hypothesis. Neuroimaging studies have revealed striking overlap in the neural processes that are engaged when people remember past events and imagine future events or novel scenes. One of the most intriguing findings from neuroimaging studies that is relevant to the constructive episodic simulation hypothesis concerns the robust activation of the hippocampus, a region that has long been implicated in memory when individuals imagine or simulate future events.